In this video, I'm going to show how to use determinants to solve a system of equations using the method known as Cramer's rule. So we need a system of equations ax equal to b, and in this case, in order to use Cramer's rule, we need A to be a square matrix. So we do need a square system of equations. A little bit of notation, A sub I of b means take your matrix A and replace column I with my vector b. Then we can find x sub I by taking the determinant of this A sub I of b and dividing by the determinant of A, provided the determinant of A is not 0. So let's start with a really small example of this. Here I have a 2x2 system of equations. In this case, A would be my coefficient matrix, 4, 1, 5, and 2. And we need to start by finding the determinant of this. Well, 4 times 2 minus 1 times 5. That's 8 minus 5, or 3. So the determinant of A is equal to 3. We need A sub 1 of B. This means replace column 1 by my vector B. So column 1 will now be 6, 7. Column 2 will be what it was originally in my matrix A. This determinant would be 6 times 2 minus 1 times 7. That gives me 12 minus 7, or 5. And then we need A2 of B. And in this case, column 1 will be exactly what it was in my original matrix A, but column 2 will change to my vector B. I have 4 times 7 minus 6 times 5. That's 28 minus 30, which is negative 2. So my actual solution would be A1 sub B over the determinant of A. The second one would be the determinant of A2 of B over determinant of A. So I have my solution. Let's do a bigger example. This time I have a 3x3 system. I need to start by finding the determinant of my coefficient matrix. That would be 2, 1, 0 in the first row, minus 3, 0, 1 in the second row, 0, 1, 2 in the third row. In order to take this determinant, I'm going to go down the first row. So I have 2 times the determinant, and we delete that row and that column. We're left with 0, 1, 1, 2. We are then going to move on to the next entry in that row. We need to change the sign to match our checkerboard pattern, so minus 1. We then delete that row and that column. I'm left with minus 3, 1, 0, 2. And then my third entry is just a 0, so minus 0. So we're not going to write that one down. 0 minus 2 is 0, or 0 times 2 is 0, minus 1 times 1. For this one, negative 3 times 2 is minus 6, minus 1 times 0, which would be 0. So this gives me negative 2 plus 6, which is equal to 4. So I'm going to write this up here. The determinant of A is equal to 4. The next thing I need to find is the determinant of A sub 1 of B. So we change the first column to 7 minus 8 minus 3. Second and third columns will remain the same as what they were in the original matrix A. I'm going to once again go down the first row to do this. So I have a 7, the first entry there. And if I delete that row and that column, I can take the determinant of what's left. 0 times 2 is 0, minus 1 times 1 is 1. We then move on to the next entry. We need to do our checkerboard pattern, so minus 1. And then we can delete that row in that column. Taking the determinant of what's left, negative 8 times 2 is minus 16, minus 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And then the next entry would be a 0, so we're not going to write that one down. So this gives me negative 7. Negative 16 plus 3 is negative 13 times negative 1 plus 13, which is 6. So this determinant here is equal to 6. The next determinant I need is the determinant of A2 of B. So this time, my first column is going to be exactly what it was originally, 2 minus 3, 0. My second column will change to 7 minus 8 minus 3. And my third column will remain the same. And once again, I'm going to go down the first row since there is a 0 there. I start with the first entry, which is a 2. And then I delete that row in that column. Taking the determinant of what's left, negative 8 times 2 is minus 16. Minus 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. We then move on to the next entry. In order to keep up with my checkerboard pattern, I need to minus 7. Delete that row in that column. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Minus 1 times 0 is 0. And then my last entry is just 0. Negative 16 minus negative 3 would be minus 13 times 2 is minus 26. Negative 7 times negative 6 is positive 42, which then gives me 16. So this determinant here is 16. Finally, I'll need to find the determinant of A sub 3 of B. So now my first and second columns will stay exactly what they were. And my third column will change to 7 minus 8 minus 3. I've been going down the first row when I take my determinants since there was a 0 there, but there's not this time, so this time I'm going to go down the first column. So I have 2, the first entry, and then I delete the row and column and take the determinant of what's left. 0 times negative 3 is 0, minus negative 8 times negative 1 is negative 8. We can then move to the next entry, which is a minus 3, so I need to do my checkerboard patterns. I need to have a minus negative 3 here. Delete that row in that column. 1 times negative 3 is negative 3, minus 7 times 1 is 7. And then the last entry here would be 0. So this is a positive 8 times 2 is 16. Negative 7 minus 3 is negative 10 times positive 3 would be minus 30. And this gives me my answer of minus 14. So I have my last determinant as negative 14. Now that we have all of my determinants, I can write my answer. We have the determinant of A sub 1 over determinant of A sub 2 over A, and A sub 3 over A. And then we can go ahead and simplify these fractions. This would be 3 halves, 4 minus 7 halves. So now I have my solution.